Hey, what's up, friends, and welcome to another edition of Now Playing Xenoblade Chronicles with your host, B. Chambers from Alloy 7 Video. Thank you for joining us today. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'll tell you that the format for this particular show is usually centered around me playing the main storyline of the game. I usually keep my side questing and my fetishes for exploration and character development. I usually keep that to myself and don't film it unless it's really significant enough to do that. Now, I will say that I have been keeping a video log of things, a vlog, if you will, of things that I have been playing through that I will have in videos that are separate from the Now Playing series. They'll just be videos, you know, that show general walkthrough type stuff. So like secret areas that I've found, the heart-to-heart discussions, I'm going to try to capture those as much as possible, or any significant side quests that I think people may need help with. I've been recording that to a degree, and I'll probably capture that in a different playlist that'll be called something like Xenoblade Chronicles walkthrough videos or something like that. And I'll have, you know, beware of spoilers on there, so you know that you're going in there to find out stuff that's happening in the story, much like you are with the Now Playing series. Now, for this particular episode, I've got to apologize to you all once again. I know I said that the last two videos would be the only two where I did not do live vocal recording over me actually playing the game. Unfortunately, this is going to be the third video where that's happened because Murphy's Law has kicked in, and I recorded an hour-long video once again that did not capture my voice whatsoever. And it's on me. It's not like there's something wrong with my software or anything wrong with my capture device. It's me going through the paces of recording the show and doing it properly and missing steps. So I apologize to all of you that prefer me to actually play while I'm talking. But I will say that today's episode, I usually try to keep the episodes to 25 to 30 minutes. This particular episode will probably be around 32 to 35 minutes once it's all said and done. And that's because it gets really cutscene heavy at the end. But it's good stuff. There's a lot of good nuggets in this video. I'm going to kind of walk you through some things that I was thinking and some things that I unexpectedly encountered while playing through this particular episode. So first and foremost, the first thing you'll watch me do is get things going with this rebuilding of Colony 6. I don't think I'll already be on that by the time I'm at this point in the vocal recording. But basically, there is a side story to the main story that is the rebuilding of Colony 6. I go through what is the fruition of that quest line that allows you to begin rebuilding Colony 6 and actually do some rebuilding there so you can see it on screen. I thought that that particular facet of the game, it was completely surprising. I didn't know that that was coming. I thought that, you know, the rebuilding of Colony 6 would just be me finishing the quest, and then all of a sudden it would be built and, you know, hooray, I'd be a hero, get a new sword, get some XP, and keep it moving. But Xenoblade Chronicles saw fit to create an entire mini game built into the main game, where your purpose is to rebuild the colony by supplying it with resources in order to do so. And I thought that it was an absolutely outstanding facet of this particular game. I welcome it as a mini game because, you know, Xenoblade, more than many, if not every other RPG I've played, does a great job of providing what I call the hook in a game. So the hook is what keeps you going through, because let's face it, if I can sidebar here just a little bit, video games get ultimately repetitive, especially games that can last you upwards of 200 hours like Xenoblade can. I think a normal completionist playthrough will probably cost you about 90 hours. I'm assuming that's about how long it's going to take me. I'm right around 30 hours in the game, and I'm a third of the way through the game, so that's how I'm interpolating those numbers. But a game that's that long is going to have a heavy dose of repetition. So in order to get a human being to go through the same, even though you kind of put different window dressing on it, you're still essentially doing the same exact quests over and over and over again for different people in different places. But the goal of the quest, whether to fetch an item or to kill a monster or to whatever, is pretty much the same throughout. It's very formulaic. But what Xenoblade Chronicles does extremely well is give you incentive to go through those paces, to go through those exercises. And so that's what I call the hook. The hook is where the game has some type of facet or feature that gives you the incentive to play through what would normally be its more tedious part. So yes, those side quests can get very tedious, but you have a strong incentive to do them because it's going to yield you, it's going to definitely yield you currency, the money you need to buy your gear, to buy the tomes that you need to level your character's skills, and it's going to give you, usually not all of them, but many of them give you XP. So that your character can continue to grow and build stats. And then it also gives you AP, which helps you build, which is the points you use to augment and build your skills that you have to buy the tomes to unlock. And then there's the SP, which basically is your perks feature, where you go in and you get plus 10 XP. And once you get enough SP, the next thing unlocks in the different categories there. So that's the hook. The hook is everything you do is going to yield you something in that realm to help you build your team and make them more powerful in order to handle much more difficult foes as the game progresses. And that Xenoblade, better than most RPGs I've played, if not better than all, we'll see by the time we get to the end of the game, does an excellent job of providing that hook. The rebuilding of Colony 6 is also another manifestation of how well they build that cycle and that hook, the keeping you coming back. Like, I'm going to go out and find a bunch of the items I need to help rebuild this city, because doing so is going to yield me gear. It's going to yield me things that I can augment my my weapons and stuff with, but it's also going to give me XP, which is again going to make me stronger. And then it's also going to help me to build my characters. I can find better crystals to make augmentations for my weapons and armor. It's this recursive loop, if you will, that keeps you, it's the loop of the game that keeps you involved in the playing of the game, even though the game itself, outside of the main storyline, gets ultimately repetitive. I think it does an excellent job of that. You know, and that's really what I focused on for the first part of this video, was how much I really am enjoying that. From there, what you'll find is that I move on to continue the actual main storyline, and it's going to be very cutscene heavy towards, as you get closer and closer to the end of the video, the end of this particular episode, because that's what starts to happen. And the story actually takes a very interesting turn. Obviously, we're not at that point in the video yet, but, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that it takes a very interesting turn. Some new characters are introduced, and the character interaction, because they've started to spend more and more time together, to me gets more and more interesting. And there's funny parts, like there's actually humorous scenes now where, because I understand the banter and the relationships between these characters that have been building for the course of the 30 hours that I've been playing, now I'm in a position where when they do something together that's based on their individual personality idiosyncrasies, it's actually funny to watch, which is evidence of great writing. It's evidence of great scripting, evidence of great cutscene building, for lack of a better, or cinematography, whatever you want to call that. And that's where I'm really at with the game. The story, again, starts to get really interesting, because another hook, if you will, for those of you who are, you know, in my bookworms category, folks that really like storyline, it introduces new things to you in the story, but it leaves just enough mystery and mystique around new characters that you're like, okay, what is this dude's angle? Or what is this lady's deal? Why is she the way she is? As you'll see as we progress through this particular video. And, you know, who is this dude? He shows up out of nowhere, and, you know, he's really mysterious and doesn't really give you any inclination about why he's around. He appears to be benevolent, but is he? Because he's kind of shady acting, you know, and that's what makes you, like, now I'm at a position where when I get ready to do the next video, the next episode in this series, I'm really excited to see how that's going to pan out. I get the impression that one of the characters that was introduced isn't going to give you much more detail, because they want to keep the mystery involved in that story arc going and going and going to keep you hooked. Again, you're hooked now. It's kind of like watching The Walking Dead, for those of you that like that show. I think that's a really good show in terms of making you want to come back and watch the next episode to see what's going to happen. And that's what I feel like Xenoblade Chronicles is starting to do at this stage. There's things being introduced, but they're not being fully explained, much to the game's benefit and to the player's benefit, because now I'm incentivized not only to go out and quest and fight enemies to get XP and to get gear that I need to reconstruct Colony 6, which actually is part of a bigger quest, which someone is trying to get me my own gem building machine so I don't have to keep traveling back to Colony 9. And that's really how the Colony 6 quest started off in earnest. You go to the gem man, he's like, yo, I can teach you how to make your own gem machine so you can do this out in the field and not have to keep coming back here. But you're going to have to go to Colony 6 and get this equipment. In order to do that, you're probably going to have to help them rebuild. And so you go through your paces and say, okay, bet, I'll go through. And now we're at the point where we are rebuilding Colony 6, and things could not be greater. So Xenoblade Chronicles, absolutely loving it in terms of, you know, what do you call it? In terms of like critiques or things that I'm not liking, there really isn't all that much. I think quest management could be a little bit more succinct, I guess, if I wanted to find something to nitpick about. Knowing where to go on the map can sometimes be a little bit daunting if you don't already know where a location is, or if it's not something that's just blatantly pointed out. Like they'll say, go north of this location to find what you're looking for, or go, like one of the quests that I did before I started this video, right before I started this episode, was go north of such and such waterfall to the edge of the cliff. And I'm thinking, okay, there's a cliff above the waterfall and that's north of it. So I spent my whole time trying to get up there, and then realized once I got up there that the item I needed was down at the bottom of the hill on a cliff that had nothing to do with the waterfall. So was it hard? No. You know, it just took me an extra 45 seconds to a minute to adjust and get to where I was supposed to be. But I kind of wish, you know, you long for when games start to spoil you with like, this is the arrow that's going to point you to where you're supposed to be going to make this happen. But, you know, it helps with the exploration not to tell you exactly where you're going, but I tend to prefer that. Not because I need to be handheld, as I know many people like to call that. I don't necessarily agree with that assessment. It's not so much holding. It's more a matter of I'm a grown man with a family, yo. I got other things to do besides play games. So cutting down on the time I'm spending running around trying to figure things out is always welcome in a game. That's also why games like Zelda don't really work for me, because it's like I'm going to spend the next hour running around trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do with this puzzle. I think I'm just going to go play something else. So that's where I'm at with Xenoblade. I had something else I wanted to critique the game on, and I just completely forgot what it was. Obviously, it was not that big a deal. I think over the previous episodes, I've talked about how, you know, combat is interesting because even if you're leveled above something you're fighting, you still struggle with it a bit. But if it's out levels you, it decimates you. You know, I thought that was kind of weird in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not bad. Like, you can level a little bit, spend a little time grinding, spend a little time doing side quests, and then you're right back in the mix. Like, most of my characters, I think, are level 35 at the time of this recording, and they're handling pretty much everything. And even the battle that may have already transpired at this point while I'm talking was much easier at level 35 than it would have been if I'd have stayed at level 28 and faced a level 28 monster. The monster was barely able to do any damage to me, which a friend consequently did warn me about doing all the side quests, because he knows I'm OCD with completing games. Like, I will do every quest in the game, I will find every secret area, I'll do it all. And he kind of admonished me not to go that route because it would make the game too easy. So I've been trying to balance it. I don't mind the game getting easy. I like power leveling and getting strong. But I will say that as of right now, today, the time of this recording, your boy is very much loving Xenoblade Chronicles. And the reason why I qualify that statement with a time frame, why I say as of today I'm loving it. So I full on believe that by the end of this game, my affinity for it is going to be just as strong as it is now, or maybe even stronger, because I think this is going to go down, I believe, as one of my favorite RPGs of all time. So, but I'm careful not to just say that. You know what I mean? I'll say that at this point in time I believe it, and the reason why I do that is because I've played enough RPGs over the years to understand that what a lot of developers struggle with is they start off with an excellent concept, an excellent story arc, an excellent play system. There's the hook that I talk about. There's the leveling system. They start off with all these great things, and then they start to dev out the game, and then somewhere along the line they begin to lose steam. Like they lose sight of what was going to make it awesome, or it derails into something that it doesn't need to, or what have you. So I say all that to say I've played a lot of RPGs where, like, on websites that I've run, and this is before the Alloy 7 days. By the time I got around to creating Alloy 7, I had pretty much stopped doing this. But in my older website days, like Second Letter Media, those of you that follow me on Twitter, you know my handle is the second letter because my name is B. But it was one of those things where I'd come out and be like, this game's awesome, you guys gotta play it, it's the best thing in the world. And then, like, 15 hours later, I'd be cursing the developers and wishing, you know, not harm on them because that's retarded, but just like wishing they had never created the game. I can't think of any games off the top of my head where that happened, where I was just so frustrated with the game by the end. I just wanted it to be over. I don't necessarily remember the last game that did that to me because I have a very short memory when it comes to the games that I'm playing. But believe me, it's happened more times than not. You know what I mean? And so I'll start off singing a game's praises. Actually, Divinity 2 was a pretty good example of that. The difference was, by the time I got to the Now Playing series, I had already beaten Divinity 2 once or twice. And so I knew that that was going to happen. But yeah, that was a game where I remember running and telling my friends, yo, you got to play this. It's awesome. It's dope. Character development, you know, and building and exploring and fighting. And then I got halfway through the game and there's this point of no return. So if you haven't done your quests, you fail the quest, and failing the quest is basically suicide because you need every bit of XP you can get to survive that game, and your quest log gets shanked and you can't go back. And then, you know, the monsters just started to get more and more what I call cheap. You can call it what you like. It's more along the lines of, if you don't level your character exactly right, then you're going to struggle. And I don't like that idea. Like, don't give me 70 different skills I can choose from and then punish me for using them the way I see fit. Like, the game basically is telling you, here's all these options you can use to develop your character. But if you don't focus on one, you're going to die. Well, what's the fun in that? Like, if I want to be a sword-wielding, arrow-shooting, fire-breathing, break-dancing machine, that's what I want to be, yo. Like, let me do it. You know, and it's a lot of the more open, you know, like the Skyrim type games or Oblivion allow for a little bit more freedom, whereas games like Divinity that have a strong level cap, that have very limited monsters and XP, kind of pigeonholes you. And so I've played, and I don't think Xenoblade is anything like that or is going to do that. I just say all that to say that there's games I've played in the past where I've been singing praises on the tops of the hills, and then, you know, you get in the game and you get further in the game, you just don't enjoy it. So anyway, I think it's time for me to shut up because I may be talking over a cutscene at this point. I hope you guys will forgive me for this. And I promise you guys, next video will not be shanked like this. I will get it right and make sure that it's squared away. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now because I don't want to continue talking over the cutscene if I already am. And allow me to wish you all peace and Godspeed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, leaving commentary. Hope you guys are enjoying the show to no end. See you back here on the next Alloy 7 video, of course, on the next Xenoblade Chronicles. Until that day, till all are one. It's BC signing off. Peace and Godspeed.
I can't think of a better place.
Then it's decided. I'll search for the crystals.
Hey, you're not going on your own.
I'll be okay. I need you to look after the group. We're short on water too, so I'll fill up our flasks.
Hey, good idea. Take care, man.
are you?
Hello there.
Hello.
How unusual. It is quite rare to see a Homs in this region. I suppose you're wondering why I am here in that case. Then permit me to introduce myself. My name is Alvis.
Alvis? My name's...
It's Shulk. Isn't it?
How did you know that?
Wielder of the Monado, defender of Colony 9, the hero that has every mechon running. You're famous amongst all Homs.
I know you from somewhere.
They're here.
Huh?
The Monado emits a particular ether wavelength in its ground state. It must have drawn them.
Huh? Oh! What are they? Alvis, get out of the way! I'll deal with this myself. From the left? Then I'll go. Huh? How? Now, from above! It can't be! I saw its movements before it struck! How can it...
It is a Telethia.
Telethia?
They can read your mind. Whether you have a vision or not, if they know your next move, it's all in vain.
You know about my visions? How could you possibly...
There is only one way. Stop it in its tracks, then dull its perception.
No, Alvis, stop! You don't know how to... Huh? A new symbol? That was... amazing.
I suggest you stop staring. The sword is yours to wield.
What was that light?
The Monado does not control itself. You control it.
I control it. By the light of the Monado. I will stop them. No escape! This is the Monado's power! That's enough!
Feel my power.
Behold the power of the Monado!
Feel my power.
All right, I'm feeling it! We can definitely do this!
Feel my power.
No escape! Crossblade! That's enough!
Let us end this.
Okay, let's finish this! All right, that's it!
Shulk, nice dodge.
Everyone, let's go! We can definitely do this!
Feel my power. Feel my power. You can do it, Shulk.
Yeah, no escape. I'm not quitting yet! Cross-race! Who are you? This is the Monado's power!
Feel my power.
Behold the power of the Monado! Alright, I'm feeling it!
My power.
We can definitely do this!
Most peculiar.
Alvis! It's okay!
Shulk, thank you.
Come on! We can do it!
Just a little more. Feel my power.
Pull yourself together! Alright, I'm feeling it! No escape! Cross-ray! We can definitely do this! I see it.
Feel my
Not
power.
good enough!
So you require my assistance. The victor's future is already set.
Split edge! Okay, gun. Alright, I'm feeling
Feel
it!
my power.
No escape! Cross-range! We can definitely do this!
Well, you see now, Shulk?
Thank you. Hey! Wait a second. More importantly, where on Bionis did you learn to use the Monado?
They were not the primary Telethia. Merely its spawn. The primary Telethia dwells elsewhere in Machna Forest. Is it wounded? I see. The Telethia is hurt and lies in rest, wounded by a girl.
A girl?
The Monado is a divine sword capable of disturbing the very fabric of existence. Of both the material and the immaterial.
Alvis, how do you know so much about the Monado? Who are you?
Shulk! Shulk!
Huh? That's Ryan. I'm over here!
Shulk! We looked all over for you. Thought you'd been eaten by the forest.
Sorry, Ryan. I got attacked by Telethia. If it hadn't been for Alvis, I wouldn't have survived.
Alvis? Who's that?
I'll introduce you. He's the one that... Alvis? But he was...
There's no one here.
I'm telling you, he was right here. He even taught me how to unlock a new power from the Monado.
Just you and me, Shulk. Ain't no one else around. You probably passed out from dehydration and dreamt this guy up. Come on. Wait till the others hear this.
He was here, Ryan. I didn't dream it. I'm not lying.
Okay, okay. I believe you. And while you were having fun with your imaginary friend, did you find any ether crystals?
Yes. Good quality ones, too.
Perfect. Come on. We should hurry them back to Sharla. Hang around here long enough and we'll get whacked by an imaginary beast.
I'm not lying. Alvis, who are you?
An enemy that renders your visions useless. This forest holds many surprises. Not least creatures we've never seen before. And now we know there is another who can use the Monado.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet him.
So you weren't just having a sneaky nap then?
No!
I'm just saying. You and Dunban are the only ones I know that can wield the Monado. How would this guy know how?
Okay, locked and loaded. Everyone, stand back.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, she's coming round. All thanks to our medic.
Are you okay?
Where am I?
Everything's fine. You're gonna be...
Get your hands off me!
Ah! Hey, watch it!
Forgive me. I did not mean to...
Sorry if we surprised you.
Are you the ones who helped me?
Well, something like that.
Excuse me. My name is Melia. Forgive my indiscretion. I have not had the pleasure of coming into contact with the male Homs.
Coming into contact?
Hey, Shulk, you're creeping this lady out.
Shut up, Ryan.
This large one is far worse.
Me?
Melia, is it? How did you get here then? What, is there no one with you? I must apologize, but my situation does not concern you. And I shall not be divulging anything to common passers-by.
Duly noted, your ladyship. But if I were to be so bold, I'm guessing that you didn't come here alone. And you weren't just taking an afternoon nap.
And what, may I ask, are you doing here? It is rare to see Homs venture this deep into Machna Forest.
We're traveling to the head of the Bionis. We've got a long journey ahead of us.
The head of the Bionis?
We were just figuring out how to get there when we found you.
I see. Then permit me to return the favor by aiding you in your quest.
Really?
There is only one path to the head of the Bionis. It is the path that leads to Erith Sea.
So, this Erith Sea is at the head of the Bionis.
If you would be kind enough to escort me out of the forest, I will show you the way.
You do that? Thank you, Melia. I'm Shulk. Pleased to meet you.
Shulk? Ah, yes. Likewise.
She's a bit high and mighty. But she's a Homs too, right? Why is she here alone?
Ain't got a clue. Ask her yourself. I'm not good with her posh accent.
We shall travel to the Nopon village.
Nopon village? That's where we've been heading. We reckon it's our best chance of making it to the top.
Since inhabiting the region, the Nopon have been a great help. You can travel to Erith Sea from their village.
It's settled. We'll make our way to the Nopon village.
Very well. The Nopon inhabit a giant tree. If we follow this trail, we will be safe.